After all, Shuiyu has a special physique, the dragon marrow phoenix body. This kind of physique is even coveted by the strong of the Void King realm, because as long as they can obtain her primordial yin, anyone will greatly increase his cultivation base, and there is no hidden danger. That's why she had to live as a man, and the constant gathering chamber of commerce concealed her true gender. In the entire constant gathering chamber of commerce, anyone who knew this secret could be counted by a single hand. Plus a Yonkai. How could Yonkai let Shuiyu recognize him? So as soon as he saw this woman, Yonkai immediately hid in a corner where no one noticed, restrained his aura and reduced his sense of existence. And over there, Shuiyu guarded by many third-order void return stage, and the smile on her face was as charming as ever, enough to make any woman scream crazy about it. Is this the Emperor Garden? She glanced at the towering palace and murmured. Returning to the third master, according to the information obtained, there is no doubt that this is the Emperor's garden. An enchanting beautiful woman beside Shuiyu replied respectfully. Well, since it's here, let's go in. Shuiyu didn't mean too much nonsense, and after saying a word, he led the third-order void return stage to the location of the Emperor Garden Gate. No one dares to stop them. Not to mention the number and realm of strength of Shuiyu's group of people, just the big name of the constant gathering chamber of commerce has a full deterrent effect. Which one don't know how to live and dare to be against them? Therefore, Shuiyu and the group of people passed through the battlefield in front of the Emperor's garden very easily, with less than 10 breaths of effort. They disappeared in the gate. After they disappeared, on the battlefields, the sound of whoosh breaking through the air also rang immediately. It was someone who wanted to rush into the Emperor Garden with the help of this brief calm. And the number of people is quite large, at least 20 or 30, each of which shows one's body movement technique and turns into colorful rays of light blasting towards that side. Yangkai is also mixed in. The opportunity is not to be missed and will never come again. How can he not grasp it? Although it is possible to rush into the Emperor Garden now and collide with Shuiyu. But this is undoubtedly a good opportunity. Once he wait for the melee here to fight again, it will be very difficult to pass this section of the road. And he is not alone, there are other people rushing into the Emperor Garden, and these people can cover him. In an instant, Yonkai rushed to the front entrance of the Emperor Garden and swarmed in with the cultivators who wanted to enter the interior through the shining door. In front, there seemed to be some signs of Space Force. After Yonkai's vision recovered, he immediately found that he was already inside a building. Looking around, there were pavilions around, and a white jade trails crisscrossing. Get inside! Yonkai is overjoyed. When he entered the interior of the Emperor Garden last time, what he saw was almost the same as before. It was indeed the interior of the Emperor Garden. But before Yonkai showed joy, he couldn't help but shrink his neck. Because Shuiyu and her group, who entered the Emperor Garden first, did not go too far. Instead, they stood in front, seeming to be observing something. They did not leave. A group of cultivators who used the deterrent power of the constant gathering chamber of commerce to break into here did not dare to make any rash actions. After they came in, they all stopped and looked awkward. Yonkai was in the middle, with a heart stumbling down, secretly praying that Shuiyu would not find him. Thinking like this in his heart, Yonkai didn't move while standing still. But it just happened to be what he was afraid of. Shuiyu, this woman seemed to be a little idle and bored, looking around with her beautiful eyes, circling among the cultivators who followed. Yangkai's face sank, knowing that he could no longer hide safely. Before she saw his face, he shook his figure and flew to the side. This movement immediately became the focus of everyone's attention. Shuiyu naturally turned her gaze over, and after seeing the side that seemed to be somewhat familiar, a trace of sorrow flashed across Shuiyu's face, and then she was ecstatic, and then furious. She let out a deep cry. Stop this, young master! How could Yonkai listen to her? Not only didn't he listen, but he ran faster. In the blink of an eye, he flew hundreds of feet away and showed Shuiyu a handsome back. Third young master? The enchanting beautiful woman looked at Shuiyu suspiciously. Catch him back to this young master. Shuiyu gave orders coldly with a gloomy face. Although the beautiful woman didn't know why Shui Yu would care so much about a cultivator of First Order Void Return stage, she didn't ask much, and she ran after Yang Kai while her figure was shaking. After the beautiful woman chased out, Shui Yu frowned and began to think, with a strange look flashing across her face. Although it was just a glimpse, the profile did make herself feel familiar. It was clearly making her hate, and the heart makes people sleepless at night, the profile of the man who make her tossed and turned at night. However, the world is so big, there are too many similar people. Shui Yu has not been able to see the face, and dare not be too sure. The most important thing is that the person's cultivation level is First Order Void Return stage. When she was separated from him back then, he was only a Third Order Saint stage. Could it be that he could grow to this level in just over 10 years? Shui Yu was a little unsure. After all, as the third young master of the Constant Gathering Chamber of Commerce with a special physique, a large amount of cultivation resources and a good cultivation environment, she could broke through from the Third Order Saint King to Second Order Void Return stage. And it was just a recent breakthrough, and even the realm hadn't had time to be stabilized. If the other party really has this ability, the aptitude is really heaven-defying. It was the cultivation level of First Order Void Return stage that made Shui Yu dare not be too sure of her guess. But that man, even in the hundreds of thousands of years, Shui Yu will never forget. Every time she dreamed about it at midnight, Shui Yu gritted her teeth bitterly, thinking that when she wanted to keep him back then, he refused without hesitation. Is she not beautiful? Does she has no status? Definitely not. In terms of beauty, Shui Yu is confident that she will not lose to anyone. In terms of status, there are very few in the entire Star Territory that can be compared with her, but even so, it has not been able to retain a single man of Third Order Saint stage. Back then, when she asked him to stay to assist her, the bastard refused without thinking. This made Shui Yu feel shameful. Secretly hating him, one day he will be captured and then imprisoned, and he will be taken with her wherever she goes, so that he can see what kind of scenery she has and make him regret his original decision. Let him know how blind he is. Although in front of outsiders, Shui Yu showed the image of a humble, polite, and gentleman, but in her bones, she was still just a woman. Women's thoughts are sometimes very absurd and unreasonable. Let's go over and take a look. Shui Yu's mood was ups and downs, and she couldn't wait from where she was. After a while, she actually chased the beautiful woman and Yang Kai in the direction where they left. The other Third Order Void Return stage looked at each other for a while, don't know what made their third young master behave like this. But they didn't dare to violate Shui Yu's orders, they could only follow obediently. On the other side, not long after Yang Kai flew out, he felt that there was a powerful person of the Third Order Void Return stage following him. Although he was not too afraid of such a powerful person with his strength, the opponent was not alone. If he is really entangled by the strong people behind, he might be caught by Shui Yu. When the time comes, he will be doomed. Yang Kai's impression of this woman Shui Yu is very complicated. Actually, he does not have any deep hatred with her, and he is even her life-saver. After all, she was invaded by mysterious cloudy sunflower water back then, but she was saved by his pill refining. But in the end, he took advantage of her a lot. On that Death Star, he hugged her naked, touching everything that shouldn't be touched, touching everything that shouldn't be seen, watching everything. Although it was a last resort, he would definitely die if he didn't do that, but this is really not what a man should do. If he was a woman, he will definitely not willing to give up with catching himself. What's more, people have a lofty status and have a strong self-esteem. How can they give up like this? He ran away without giving any explanation. Of course she would have a little bit grudge. In a word, it's over if he gets caught. So after learning that there were people chasing behind him, Yang Kai drove to the depths of the Emperor Garden with all his strength. During the raid, a golden light suddenly appeared in his left eye, and he kept peeping around. The life's Exterminator demon eye, this natural talent divine ability of the great demon god, possesses the ability to break through illusion, and the use at this time undoubtedly gave Yang Kai a huge help. He wanted to find an available restrictions. There are many restriction formations in the Emperor Garden. When he and Feijito and others went deep into this place, Xianxia had a deep understanding, but this time the Emperor Garden was open to the entire star territory, and there were a lot of cultivators entering the interior. No matter how many restrictions formations there are, most of them have been cracked. Xianxia ran this way, but he didn't find any available restrictions or formations. There were occasional traces, all of which had been destroyed. With the passage of time, the chaser behind him got closer and closer, and Xianxia was in a hurry. Fortunately, at this moment, he finally discovered that under the observation of the life's exterminator demon eye, there seemed to be a powerful formation in a large area ahead. Xianxia rushed over there without thinking about it, and cautiously rushed past the edge of this formation. But when the beautiful woman arrived here, she broke into the formation without checking. In an instant, the formation was touched, and the beautiful woman was wrapped in it, unable to advance. Xianxia stood on the spot and listened for a moment, only to hear bursts of sweet screaming voices, sometimes mixed with energy fluctuations, and immediately knew that his strategy had succeeded. He smiled. Xianxia changed direction and flew to the other side. For the time being, he should be safe. The Emperor Garden is so big, as long as he is more careful, he will never meet Wei Yu again. Thinking of this, Yang is happy, but he didn't let his guard down. He still ran forward while checking the surroundings, lest he might get himself accidentally fall into the restriction formation. To be continued.